Welcome to Philanthropy in Focus, where we shine a light on the people and organizations making a difference in our communities. From executive leaders to frontline team members, each episode offers an inside look at the mission, challenges, and opportunities shaping the nonprofit sector today. Whether you're a donor, volunteer, or simply looking to connect with causes that matter, this series is designed to inform and inspire, reflecting Heritage's commitment to helping families align their wealth with purpose and impact. I'm your host, Carrie Miller, Director of Philanthropy at Heritage Wealth Advisors. And today we're honored to be joined by Sunshine Mathan, Executive Director at the Piedmont Housing Alliance.
Hi, Carrie. How are you? Glad to be here.
I am good. And it's so nice to have you here. So, Sunshine, to start, can you share a little about the Piedmont Housing Alliance and the role that it plays in the Charlottesville community?
Yeah, sure. So the organization goes back, depending how you look at its history, goes back to 1968. But we've been doing the work that we kind of do now for over 40 years. And we really strive to provide a comprehensive range of services and interventions across the housing needs spectrum. So on the one end, we operate what's called a financial opportunity center that co-locates a range of financial counseling services, eviction prevention services, homeownership counseling services for folks who are aspiring homebuyers, either first time in their lives or in some cases first generation homebuyers. So that the FOC that we call it, the Financial Opportunity Center, is a key service related effort of what we do. But we also, we're a HUD certified housing counseling agency that also administers down payment assistance for aspiring home buyers. And then more broadly, we own and or operate about 700 units of affordable rental apartments throughout Charlottesville City, Albemarle County, and a small number in Nelson County. Um, those range, they serve a range of folks and income levels. But generally speaking, we're about half of them serve working families for folks who make anywhere from say 20,000 a year in income to say 80,000 a year in income, and then another half are really for seniors who are on fixed incomes who will never see their incomes increase, but they need comfortable, safe places they can afford to live out their lives. And then we also, lastly, develop affordable homeownership opportunities, and we develop new rental apartments, recognizing the need for there's a large gap in terms of what's available for folks. Even though we've been doing this for a long time, the trend line still continues in a way that we have to play catch up. So we continue to develop new properties. So we have close to 800 units of affordable rental in the pipeline over the next 5 to 6 years. And we continue to work in the homeownership space too, trying to create those opportunities for entry level homeownership.
Wow. So, I mean, this is a wide range of services, and it's amazing that you all like you're coordinating that all under one roof. And is there and so because it's so wide ranging, is there a like personal story or kind of program or perhaps client to highlight their individual experience that sort of demonstrates the impact that you're having on a personal level?
Yeah, and what I will say is that before I go there, the parts that I think I'm most proud of over the last, I've been in my role for a little over 8 years now, is that we reached a milestone a couple of years ago. When you go back in time, we've now helped over 1,000 families become first-time home buyers, whether that's through direct development of affordable homeownership or through the housing counseling or down payment assistance. And that's a pretty remarkable impact over the tenure of the organization's life. And we continue to make progress and get beyond that 1,000. Um, and there are many folks who, particularly in this time where the cost of entry level homeownership is just rapidly rising, that they just see the opportunity for homeownership to really be out of reach permanently at this point. But we've been successful of still continuing to make the progress. So we partnered, for example, with residents from the Fifeville Neighborhood Association. Going back a few years ago, there was a cluster of townhomes that had been converted to rental a number of years ago. The owner of those buildings was done being a landlord. But they wanted to ensure that they were still serving the community that historically has been there, and ideally to help folks transition from being renters into homeowners. So they were willing to sell to us at those 5 homes at a somewhat reduced rate, but still we made a profit in the end. But at a somewhat reduced rate, that we then sought out other resources to do deep level of and renovations, from replacing siding and replacing roofs to adding insulation, replacing HVAC. We even put solar on the roofs so the future homeowners would have lower utility bills in the future. And then we
That's
worked really closely with the neighborhood association, others in the community, to find people who were aspiring home buyers and work with them while the renovations were going on to get them mortgage ready. Because ultimately, that is one of the challenges that a lot of people face at this point. They may have, credit scores that need improvement or debt they need to pay down to get ready for a first mortgage. So our housing counseling team worked with them over a couple of years to get them ready, and we were successfully sold those 5 homes at about $160,000 each,
that's
um,
amazing.
which
That's
is in
great.
this day and age is crazy.
Yeah. Um, do they like so now I have to ask about I mean that's just I love that story because it's taking something that I know sounds really simple that I know was really complex to execute
For sure.
and then impacting, well, at least 4 families, but just sort of the exponential impact of it. Like in the years and that, like they could be entire families there that you're changing their lives.
Yeah, and it cascades through time. Like, you're right that, like, those homeowners now have stable housing costs that they can afford. It's not like rent where it goes up over time typically in the market. Their mortgages are fixed, and yes, their property taxes will potentially go up over time, but that's relatively manageable in the scheme of things when you have a $160,000 mortgage. But those families will likely pass it down to their children, or if they don't, at some point in the future, if they sell, they'll be able to sell and build equity so that they can invest in their children's education or whatever it might be. But that investment that we made is through the community land trust model. So it's specifically, not only will it impact that family, that will be an affordable home for homeownership for 90 plus years. So when that family, if and when that family decides to sell, they get a portion of that equity increase in the value of the home so that they can have some wealth creation for themselves. But then it actually ensures that the next homeowner family is also in that lower to middle income spectrum, and so it creates a self-perpetuating model of a one-time investment for that CLT home, the community land trust home.
That's great. Did the original person who was, like charitably inclined to make sure that like who came to you with this opportunity, do they also get a tax like is there a tax benefit?
Yeah, it's a slightly tricky one in the sense
Yeah.
that I'm not a tax attorney, so I can't provide tax advice and all
But we
that.
can at Heritage Wealth Advisors.
there,
So
there you go. Um,
not me personally, by the
yeah,
way.
Yeah, so fundamentally, yes, there is if there is a charitable contribution either through a reduced price on a purchase or through a straight
Yeah.
up donation, then of course it's eligible for a tax write off in one way or another. I don't specifically know what that owner did, but for sure we have had other transactions where folks have been able to do that.
It's just amazing the impact. Like clearly, the charitable intent is there at the core of it. Like that's the whole part of it. But like the tax code is so complicated, and yet incentivized for these things. And then there's these really neat, community land trusts and all these different affordable housing functions that exist in the world. It feels almost overwhelming, I think, sometimes to donors who want to make an impact. So in thinking about that, for people who feel inspired but feel overwhelmed by the complexities of it all, what are meaningful ways that they could help the like Piedmont Housing Alliance or an affordable housing? Is it volunteering? Is it donating? Or is it, coming to you with these properties and things?
Yeah, frankly, it's all the above. I mean, the need is significant out there, but what I will say is that, as one example, on the potential volunteer side, so since COVID, there are we food insecurity has existed for a long time for many families, but during COVID in particular, and particular for seniors on fixed incomes, it became very severe. So we started working to meet that need. We started working in partnership with the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank and other organizations to start delivering food directly to our residents in our communities. And we are now that program was created during COVID, but actually has persisted and grown since then. So we actually are the single largest distributor of food for the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank
Oh,
because we
wow.
deliver to our properties. But that takes staff time, it takes staff resources, it's lifting boxes and moving things around. So there are opportunities for volunteering there, and frankly, also giving and donating because most of our housing development, it's not fully funded. I'm not going to pretend that, but there are sources we can typically tap into, but we have a number of generally unfunded services that we provide, like the food donations, the food deliveries, or the financial coaching and housing counseling that rely on donations from our community to actually continue those efforts because there's no public funding available for those resources that we can rely on. We do just rely on our community partners in that way. And then the last piece is that I think there are lots of people who want to be part of the housing solution in some way, whether that's donating a house that they once rented and or don't want to be a landlord anymore, um, or have land that's been sitting vacant for some time and want to explore a partnership around developing affordable housing on it.
Yeah,
Every project that we work on is in some form of partnership with somebody who came to us and said, "We have a resource. Is it possible to do something with it?" And the answer isn't always yes, but oftentimes it can be. So donations, land, and volunteering are all super crucial.
that's great. Um, Thanks for spelling that out so clear. Like, I'm just amazed at how good you are at um really, like, clarifying complex, issues and with a smile on your face
Yeah,
too,
well,
'cause um, so what would you say is the Piedmont Housing Alliance's greatest need right now, and how could supporters make the biggest difference today or this year?
yeah, I'll circle up and focus on that resident services side. That really is where we are continuing to see really dramatic increases in need that we don't have predictable funding sources for. And that is everything from the food delivery that I mentioned to the financial coaching services to, in some cases, our senior communities. We provide time for bingo and for other sort of community events. All of that takes staff time and concerted effort that is generally unfunded without philanthropy. And so that need is just growing feels like on a daily basis and is putting a lot of pressure on our staff to do more than they ever have before. And so one of the things is we're in the middle of our fiscal year budget planning right now for these our fiscal years July 1 to June 30 is planning for how we're going to fund and grow that team if at all possible. So that is our biggest need right now.
And so could volunteers help with that too? Like, especially positive, ones? 'Cause I gotta believe, like, the worst thing you could do is show up to, like, lead bingo, and it's like you've had a really busy day and you're just exhausted.
Yeah, I think there's opportunities for volunteerism in that regard. And I'm saying this without staff involved, without them, being involved in this conversation too. Because sometimes I get slapped on the wrist a little bit in terms of what I promise or say and what can be delivered. There
Well,
are
listen, I know volunteering takes management as well. Like
Exactly,
volunteer
exactly,
management is so you need
exactly.
funding. I understand.
But the volunteers, I do think building a relationship makes it easier for philanthropists to give when you have a direct sense and a this feeling of direct contribution, not just of resources, but of time. So I totally appreciate that, and I think there is real value in that connection. So anyone who wants to do that, wants to volunteer, will work to try to find a way to make it work.
Um, okay. Well, so speaking of community engagement, what's one question you wish donors would ask you?
Um, I think the question is, how can we help you make it easier uh, to do what you do? Because fundamentally, it has never been harder to continue to build affordable housing, to maintain affordable housing, to create opportunities for entry level homeownership, to provide those resident services. Financially, it's never been harder. Politically, it's never been harder. Um, uh, and
Logistically, I mean, I just
logistically,
think
it's never
about
been harder. Yeah, it's and
yeah.
I don't try to say that to be lay superlatives on top of this, but it really truly I've never been in a situation where the work that we are trying to do has been um, impacted by external forces in a way that just starts to make it harder to do what we do. So the question that I would love to get is how can we make it easier for you? And volunteer time, resources, financial resources, all of those things. Easy is the name of the game if there's any chance of that. Because it's really really hard. It's hard on staff. It's hard on to serve the residents in the way that we want to. Uh, and the more resources we have, the easier it is to do the work.
So I imagine unrestricted donations are
Yeah, unrestricted,
really
of course, are
helpful right
always
now.
it's always the best, but I even setting that aside, dedicated funding to support the resident services side is just as effective, frankly.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us and for shining a light kind of on what is a really complicated issue or crisis in the world of affordable housing. I think it's really great, and what you're doing and what a treasure you are to the Charlottesville community, the
Thanks, Gary.
broader
Thanks a lot.
Charlottesville community.
Yeah,
So
it's not just me. We have a team of 50 plus staff, working every day on the front lines and in the back office trying to make a difference.
you do it like soup to nuts though, and ensure that people are ready to take on like like the enormous responsibility that comes with homeownership and and being able to, afford heating and electrical bills and stuff,
Hmm.
which have been really high this past month.
That's true. Yeah.
Um, and so, I appreciate that you persist, and Heritage has supported the Piedmont Housing Alliance in the sort of financial literacy programs that you also run. So I'm really impressed that like it's a full soup to nuts kind of experience that you provide. I didn't realize you were also doing food, like addressing food insecurity too. I mean, that's incredible. So
Yeah.
thank you for all that you're doing.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. It's driven in large part by what we hear from our residents and our community members, and just trying to respond on as those needs arise.
Well, for anyone who wants to learn more or get involved, we've included links in the show notes. And Sunshine, thank you so much for being with us on Philanthropy in Focus.
Appreciate it, Carrie. Been great.
All right, see you next
Thanks so
time.
much.